October 24th, 1944. The Pacific Ocean. An F6F Hellcat fighter, battered and battle-weary, approaches the flight deck. It approaches the light aircraft carrier USS Langley with an unnerving instability. The moment the aircraft's wheels slam onto the wooden deck, the engine coughs. It shudders once and dies completely. The propeller spins a few times from sheer inertia before coming to a dead, silent halt on the deck. Deck crews rush forward to secure the plane, but when they pop the fuel caps to check the levels, they freeze in disbelief at what they see. The main tank is dry. The auxiliary tank is bone dry. There isn't even enough residual fuel in the lines to fill a coffee cup. For the last several minutes, this multi-ton war machine had been gliding on nothing but altitude, willpower, and a defiance of physics. The canopy slides back, and out steps a man named David McCampbell, commander of Air Group 15. In the 90 minutes preceding this landing, he accomplished something that defies not just naval doctrine, but the laws of probability. He did not lead a massive squadron into battle. He led a single wingman, 2 men, 2 planes, head-on against a massive strike force of 60 enemy aircraft. It sounds like a suicide pact. But as the crew tallied the score on the side of his fuselage, they confirmed 9 kills in a single sortie, a record for a single pilot. In a single mission that stands to this day. Today, we are going to declassify the details of this mission, impossible fought at 20,000 feet, and uncover exactly what happened on that fateful morning. Rewind the clock, 7:30 hours. The air over the Philippine Sea is thick, humid, and heavy with tension. On the flight deck of the USS Essex, the 34-year-old McCampbell is climbing into his cockpit. The radar room is screaming with reports. This is not a drill. It is the opening day of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval confrontation in human history, unfolding across 400 miles of ocean. The American fleet is stretched thin. The radar room is screaming with reports. This is not a drill. It is the opening day of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the largest naval confrontation in human history, unfolding across 400 miles of ocean. The American fleet is stretched thin, nerves are frayed, and the decks are practically empty, as most aircraft are already airborne, on strike or patrol missions. The Essex has only 7 Hellcats fueled and ready. Intelligence reports are terrifying. 3 waves of Japanese aircraft, totaling 60 fighters and dive bombers, are swarming toward the American task force like angry hornets. The fleet is a giant without a shield. If these bombers break through the defensive screen, a single bomb on a flight deck could turn a carrier into an inferno. McCampbell does not hesitate. As the Air Group commander, his orders are simple and brutal. Launch, intercept, survive. But the math is hopeless. 7 American planes against 60 hostiles. The standard tactical manual, the Bible of naval aviation, dictates that defenders need at least a 1-to-3 ratio to have a fighting chance. Today, the Japanese have nearly a 9-to-1 advantage. To make matters worse, Air Group 15 has already lost 11 pilots in the last 3 months of grinding combat. The psychological weight on McCampbell's shoulders is heavy enough to crush a lesser man. As McCampbell roars into the sky and scans his instrument panel, the bad news keeps coming. Due to the chaotic scramble, the deck crew did not have time to top off his tanks. His fuel gauge is sitting uncomfortably at the halfway mark. He is flying into the fight of his life with half a tank of gas. If he does not end this quickly, gravity will claim him long before the Japanese do. The blips on the radar merge into a solid mass. Over the radio, McCampbell makes a decision that shocks the fleet. He realizes that 5 of the 7 Hellcats that launched with him are struggling with engine issues or critically low fuel, making them unfit for high-altitude combat. He orders those 5 to stay low and harass the enemy bombers. He alone will take just 1 wingman, Ensign Roy Rushing. Just 2 men. They pull back on the stick and climb. rocketing straight toward the massive swarm of 40 Japanese Eurofighters flying top cover. It is a scene reminiscent of ancient knights charging an army, to Hellcats against 40 fighters and 20 bombers. McCampbell's knuckles are white on the stick, his mind racing. He knows that a dogfight, a turning fight, is a death sentence. He has to play to the Hellcat's strengths. Compared to the nimble, paper-thin Japanese Euro, the F6F Hellcat is a heavy, armored bruiser. It is powered by the Pratt Whitney R-2800 double wasp engine, a radial beast pumping out 2,000 horsepower. McCampbell climbs to 20,000 feet. Up here, the air is thin and the massive American engine can breathe. He looks down. The Japanese formation is cruising at 12,000 feet, a full 8,000 feet below him. This altitude gap is his lifeline. Altitude is potential energy. Energy is speed. And in this arena, speed is life. There is no cinematic, screaming head-on charge. Instead, McCampbell displays icy, predator-like patience. He circles like a hawk waiting. He and Rushing maintain a loose formation, communicating almost telepathically. They are about to play the deadliest game of cat and mouse in history. The tactic is textbook, but executed with surgical precision. Boom and zoom, dive, attack, use the speed to escape, climb back up, reset. The Zero is the king of the slow, turning fight, but at high speeds, its controls stiffen, and its fragile airframe risks disintegration. McCampbell spots his first victim, a Zero, that has drifted slightly out of formation. In aerial combat, isolation is death. McCampbell pushes the nose over. The Hellcat screams, gravity pinning him to his seat. The airspeed indicator winding up. He centers the Zero in his gun sight, 8,000 yards. 6,000 for 1,000. He holds his fire. Most pilots would panic and spray bullets. From this distance, McCampbell waits until he can see the rivets. 650 caliber machine guns open up in unison. The tracers lash out like a whip of fire, tearing into the Zero's wing root. The fuel tank ignites instantly. The enemy plane does not even have time to bank. It simply erupts into a massive orange fireball and disintegrates, raining debris into the ocean. That is one. McCampbell uses the immense momentum of his dive to pull up, rocketing back to the safety of the upper atmosphere. He and Rushing are in perfect sync. This is not a brawl, it is a dissection. They refuse to dive into the center of the formation. Instead, they pick at the edges, peeling the Japanese formation like an onion. If a Japanese fighter tries to pull up and catch them, the Hellcat uses its superior climb rate to leave them stalling in the air. If a Japanese plane falls behind, they dive and execute it. The battle settles into a terrifying rhythm. Dive, fire. Climb, dive, climb. Panic begins to spread among the Japanese pilots. From their perspective, the sky is raining death. They cannot see how many Americans are up there. Every time they look up, another dark blue silhouette is plummeting toward them. Fear breaks their discipline. The tight defensive box formation begins to crumble. The Japanese commander tries to rally his men. But under McCampbell's relentless hammer blows, order turns to chaos. McCampbell's shooting is disciplined, almost miserly. He is constantly checking the cursing fuel gauge. He counts his bursts. In one pass, he uses a long burst to panic a Zero pilot into a maneuver so violent that the enemy plane snaps and spins into the sea without McCampbell needing to fire another shot. Time dilates, an hour passes. In the world of air combat, this is an eternity. Dogfights usually last minutes. Campbell's flight suit is soaked in sweat, the physical toll of pulling high G-forces repeatedly, combined with the freezing altitude. And the sweltering cockpit heat is pushing his body to the limit. His vision tunnels graying out at the bottom of every pull-up. But he cannot stop. His fuel gauge drops below the quarter tank mark. Then, a transmission from his wingman, Rushing. "I am out of ammo. Rushing's guns are dry, but the young ensign does not turn for home. He does something incredibly brave. He stays on McCampbell's wing. He continues to dive, making dry runs, feigned tail attacks at the enemy. He uses his aircraft as a bluff, scaring Japanese pilots into breaking formation, setting them up for McCampbell's guns. It is a level of trust that can only be forged in fire. Finally, McCampbell fires his last burst. As the final victim trails smoke and spirals down, he checks his panel. 400 rounds per gun, all gone. Fuel? Effectively zero. The sea stack below is littered with burning pyres. The Japanese attack wave has been shattered. The survivors, terrified and leaderless, dump their bombs into the sea and flee back toward the Philippines. 2 men stopped 60. But for McCampbell, the fight for survival is just entering its final phase. The adrenaline fades, replaced by a cold realization he might not make it back. Navigation tells him the fleet is miles away. The fuel gauge tells him he is walking home. He trades his altitude for distance. Throttling back to the absolute minimum RPM is required to keep the prop spinning, gliding like a leaf toward the American ships. When the fleet finally appears on the horizon, a new threat emerges. The ships below are jumpy. They see an unidentified aircraft approaching from the direction of the enemy. Destroyers and cruisers open up with anti-aircraft fire. McCampbell has to scream over the radio to identify himself, dodging friendly flak with a dead engine. He spots the USS Langley. It is not his home ship, the Essex, but it is a flat deck, and beggars cannot be choosers. The Needle is buried below empty. As he lines up for the approach, the landing signal officer waves the red paddles. The wave off signal. His approach is too fast. His angle is bad. The LSO is telling him to go around, apply power, and try again. Go? Around? Impossible. McCampbell knows that if he touches the throttle to demand power for a go-around, the engine will suck air and die instantly. He will stall and crash into the stern. He ignores the signal. Gritting his teeth, relying on instinct, he forces the Hellcat down. The wheels slam into the wood. The tail hook scrapes the deck and snags the number to wire. The violence of the deceleration throws him forward against his harness, and in that precise second, just as the video title promised, the R-2800 engine sputters once and falls silent. It did not need to be turned off. It had given everything. McCampbell sits in the cockpit. Slumped over, surrounded by the cheering deck crew, he does not have the strength to unbuckle. When the ordnance men check his guns, they find exactly 2 rounds of ammunition remaining. When they check the tanks, they are bone dry. Let us pause the image here and break this down. How was this possible? Why was the F6F Hellcat able to dominate the legendary Zero in 1944? When the Zero was the terror of the Pacific in 1942, the F6F Hellcat was often called the aluminum tank. It was heavy, rugged, and could absorb punishment that would shred a Japanese plane. But its heart was the Pratt Whitney R-2800 double wasp. This 18-cylinder radial engine was a marvel of engineering. It featured a 2-stage, two-speed supercarriage water injection system. When McCampbell slammed the throttle forward, a mixture of water and alcohol was injected into the cylinders. This allowed the heavy Hellcat to climb vertically like a rocket. McCampbell used energy fighting. He refused to turn with the Zeros. He stayed high, converting potential energy, altitude, into kinetic energy, speed. He would dive, slash, and zoom climb back up. The Zero pilots, in their lightweight planes, could not follow him in the dive without ripping their wings off, and they could not catch him in the climb against that massive horsepower. It was physics as a weapon. We also have to talk about Roy Rushing. In many retellings, he is a footnote. But his role was critical. By staying in the fight without ammo, he maintained the thatch weave defensive principle. The thatch weave requires two planes to cover each other's tails. If Rushing had left, McCampbell would have been blind. in his 6 o'clock position. Rushing played a high-stakes game of poker, betting his life that the Japanese would not realize his guns were empty. We must also understand the desperation of the enemy. The Japanese show-go-victory plan was their last stand. These 60 planes were not just fighters. Many were fighter bombers laden with explosives intended for the American fleet. This heavy load made them sluggish and reluctant to dogfight, which McCampbell exploited. But it also meant the stakes were infinite. If McCampbell failed, those bombs were destined for the crowded decks of American carriers. The aftermath was staggering. McCampbell was credited with 9 kills, Rushing with 6. 15 enemy aircraft destroyed by 2 men. The rest of the Japanese formation scattered. The landing on the Langley was the fine act of a drama that defies fiction. When the landing signal officer waved him off, McCampbell made a split-second calculation. He knew his plane better than the manual. He knew he was flying on fumes. He forced the plane down, catching the wire. When the deck officer asked for a debrief, the numbers were chilling. He had launched with a half tank. He had fought for 90 minutes. He had fired over 2,000 rounds. He had returned with 2 bullets and 0 fuel. This sortie holds the all-time American record for a single mission. In the modern era of jet combat, with limited missile loadouts and beyond visual range engagements, it is a record that will almost certainly never be broken. David McCampbell was awarded the Medal of Honor. He finished the war as the Navy Est Apace with 30 for aerial victories, but whenever asked about that day, he deflected the praise to his wingman, to the rugged engineering of his Hellcat, and to the necessity of the moment. It was not about glory. It was a math problem: intercept them or swim home. As the sun set over Leyte Gulf, that evening, the wreckage of Japan's naval air power bobbed in the waves. Above them, the aluminum tanks sat silent. On the deck of the Langley, cooling in the ocean breeze, having carried its pilot to the edge of the impossible and brought him back. This is the story of the Eagle's duel. If you enjoyed this deep dive into naval history, hit that like button to help the algorithm share this story. Subscribe for more documentaries on the moments that changed warfare forever. If you want more legendary dogfights declassified, clear for takeoff on that like button. I am your flight lead, and I will see you in the next mission.